Yes.
Yeah.
But the probabilities are only from the from the three other.
For instance, let's say you have two nodes to start with.
Yeah.
Let's say one has 70% chances, the other 30% chances. You will sample this one with 0.7, you will sample this one with 0.3.
Yeah.
Or the log actually of 0.7, the log of 0.3. You know? So every time the files, the hard like sampling, comes from the hard probability in your trees, which are the parameters of your model, so you have no choice.
But they don't know anything about what's going on from the leaves, right?
The probability at each point is given by the model that's constructing the tree.
Yes.
So that is your phi I. The Gumbel trick is to select which branches to go through.
Let's put an example. Let's say here, for instance, I'm like 0.7, and here I'm like 0.3, right? So I don't know what the log of 0.7 is, but I will sample a Gumbel with actually I will sample a Gumbel 0, and maybe I will get 0.1 or 0.1. To which I will add this of 0.7, which I have no idea what that is, you know, minus 0.3, whatever. Okay, and here I will sample another Gumbel. Maybe I will get 0.2, and the log will be minus 0.25. And so I will have, in the end, what's important, I will have like two numbers. One would be, for instance, minus 0.05 in that example, whatever, and here minus 0.20. Once it's done, this is the actual probability. This is your law. That's your sampling. Your sampling follows the law in general, but could be like anything. And then here, this is my Gumbel, which is the max of all the leaves underneath. Same thing here. That's my max. And also here I have only two examples, but this would be my number 1 K, and this would be my number 2 K, for instance, because this is higher than this. Yeah. And so once this number is cast in stone, it means that I will sample here a Gumbel, but I will sample a Gumbel with phi, for instance, let's say this one is 0.4 probability. So I will sample a Gumbel of 0.4, conditional on the max, inferior at minus 0.2. If that makes sense. And this, because if you don't do the conditioning, you are just drawing from the same distribution again and again and again, and it doesn't really fit the bill. You're just repeating the same distribution or resampling. The real magic of it is that, let's imagine we sample the whole tree. The Gumbel trick allows for some kind of factorization. In reality, it says you can factor your steps with this kind of clever Gumbel probabilities, so that if you sample only the first stage of a Gumbel, provided you condition the next step on this, you keep unfolding the same general sampling. You're still true to your general sampling, meaning that you don't need to explore the ways which are below the minimum, which are not in the top K, because they will lead you nowhere by definition, statistically, probabilistically, if that makes sense. Yeah?
How is it actually very different from normal sampling? Right? It just looks like a very clever way of doing normal sampling, but there is no information flow going backwards. Right? Correct.
What's troubling is that you say, how can it know where to go if we go top down? It's not informed by the bottom. It works the other way around. The bottom is informed by the top.
Yes.
Through the conditioning. Yes. That's the way, and that's the thing which is slightly counterintuitive. You feel, I need to know what happens at the bottom to be able to do this at the top, because it's factorized. Actually, you don't. I think that's the most clever part of it. I think I find that part very difficult to understand. Actually, I had to run it several times because you feel you can't find the top K if you don't have all all the leaves of the tree, right?
Yeah.
And actually you can because it's probabilistic, because it's sampling and not deterministic.
Yeah.
That's the
Exactly, but it's, if I prepare just to sample 30-70% at the top, I also would end up more often in the right path at the end.
Not with traditional beam search, because you can't guarantee that the highest probability at this step is going to lead you to the highest probability at the end.
But neither
That's
does
what this is guaranteeing.
It-
That's what they prove in the paper, is that this Gumbel sampling with a limit on the max guarantees that on average you will get to the highest probability lead.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the beam search, it's a heuristic. It actually works. It's linear and not, but it doesn't guarantee. It doesn't guarantee that you follow the actual distribution. It doesn't. It's convenient. This one is kind of principle. This one actually guarantees that you get the distribution, which I think is actually quite major. And I don't think it's more expensive computationally. Maybe you have to calculate 2 logs instead of 1x, but I think it's kind of the same exponential cost. So, in my view, this probably displaces the beam search, and this should replace the beam search every time, the way I understand it. And well, as I was implying as well, instead of being exponential, you have a cost which is of course much more manageable. But I think the point which I found the most interesting is the point you raised, which is how do you manage to guarantee this? How does the information flow backward? Actually, it doesn't. In this specific case, it doesn't need to, due to the factorization properties. I just included the algorithm there, which, for instance, I think this is a calculation when it's constraints to maximum. They have quite very clear explanation of what they do in the paper. They also demonstrate some of the mathematical properties, and they even give a numerical trick to avoid overflow or underflow in the ways of calculating the so it's quite complete. They also give like results, which I think can be relevant because it has to work. It's clearly better, so it should work. To be confirmed. And that's it. Actually.
Questions? Comments? Yes.
The paper references vague without replacement. I'm not quite saying what.
Sorry? Without replacement.
Yes.
Well,
But
So, sorry, what do they mean by sampling without replacement?
yes, no, I understand what that means. Why is this? What causes this to be without replacement?
I mean, I honestly don't know. I just redid the calculations because there's no point in doing them because they did it already. But just to check, and we went to this discussion just before. You know, the posterior of a Gaussian, in Bayesian, the posterior of a Gaussian is a Gaussian. Why is it? I have no idea. It just kind of works. It so happens that when you do this top K trick and you derive the calculations, you actually fall back to the law of sampling without replacement. Trying to find an intuition for this. What you could say is that it works for one, right? When you have like when you just do the Gumbel max trick and you just pick the hard marks, it's